Buenas tardes, estamos retransmitiendo la sesión con el ponente Jean-François. Una disculpa por todas las fallas técnicas que tuvimos. Cualquier duda que tengan la podemos dejar en los comentarios, se las haremos llegar al doctor y posteriormente las iremos contestando, aunque no sea en vivo. A continuación, a nombre de la Sociedad Mexicana de Anatomía, quiero presentar a una querida amiga y que también estuvo con nosotros como vocal hace unos años. Entonces ella nos va a hacer el favor de traducir con el doctor y va a ser nuestro enlace. Ella nos va a presentar al doctor. Gracias, Diana.
Muy bien. Buenas tardes a todos. Voy a presentar al doctor, nada más como comentario. La presentación que él trae ya está traducida en español, entonces a petición de él, él irá platicándonos un poquito sobre ello, que es lo que está escrito ya en español. Si ustedes tienen alguna duda, algún comentario, lo pueden dejar en las redes sociales, en los comentarios. Nosotros se lo haremos llegar al doctor y les haremos llegar las respuestas también. El profesor Jean-François es cirujano vascular y el jefe de investigación de la anatomía digital de la UNESCO y trabaja actualmente en la Universidad de Artes de París. Entonces, Dr. Yu, if you want to begin, please. We're ready.
You ready?
Yes, we're ready.
You can begin. So welcome everybody to this presentation about a new offer of educational anatomy, which is done by the UNESCO Chair of Digital Anatomy from Paris University. And you can see the website address here. This presentation is about the table of vertebral dissection, which is a very nice tool for the students and the teachers. So first point, this table of vertebral dissection is a teamwork, and you can see on the screen on the left that the segmentation of the models were done by Descartes University. You see, this is mainly regarding the version 1. And on the right, you can see that the other part of the team is from Mexico University and Pablo Reyes from USA, which is providing the programmation is Unity system. And this is regarding the version 2. I will explain more in details. So how was the construction of this model, of this table? It is a manual segmentation of the anatomical slices from the project of the visible human, more precisely the Korean visible human, man and woman. It's made of 6,000 slices, anatomical slices, done with a special device that we call a cryomacrotome, providing very thin slices, 0.2 millimeters of thickness. Then we make photographs, and then we have a big work, which is to make a manual segmentation of these slices. And these were done mainly by my students in Paris University, 300 students during 2 years. And then after you have done this work, you produce 3D mesh of the body. And this is used in 2 different ways, 2 interfaces, Acrobat interface and Unity interface. And I will explain you more. So here you can see very nicely what is the technique. You have a frozen body of a woman in a box, and with a laser you can see the laser landmark. And on the right you can see the device which we call a cryomacrotome. It's a kind of it's a macrotome which is providing very thin slices of the body. And you can see the Professor Chung from Seoul in the room with the macrotome. And this is the result. Finally, you have a lot of photographs, and the 3D reconstruction of the body could be shown on the left. You can see a lot of slices, a lot of images, about 6,000 slices. Now, just some words about the methodology. How do we produce from these slices? How do we produce the table? So the first step is to make, as I told previously, a segmentation, that is to make the outlining of different anatomical structures with a special pen and with a software that we call Windsurf. This is producing mesh that we call 3D mesh. That is a vectorial model. This vectorial model you can see here with Blender is improved and worked with Blender, and then we translate it and we export it in a special format, .u3d, which is compatible with the interface of Acrobat 3D PDF. So this version 1 of the table is a solution with no connection, no internet connection. It's a standalone table, a big table. It's working on Acrobat 3D PDF. It's secured by file open system to protect the system. And you have a very big screen. And this big touch screen, you can use it in two modalities, either in a horizontal position like a table, or also in vertical position to give a course with students. This is exactly what happens. You see the big screen, you see the model, and you see the buttons on the right. I will show you more in a minute. And you can see that you can drive this only with 3 fingers, which is very simple. You have icons and you can click, and immediately you move with the fingers and you click and you choose with the fingers. So here you can see the demonstration. So you have the body on the left. This is a window, 3D window. And on the right, you have the menus and you have the different icons to drive and to choose what you want to have in the anatomy. So let's go. You see, you can choose the region of the body, which is the thorax, the abdomen, the arm, and the lower limb. You can choose the systems. Is the urinary system, just select. You can modify, you can also have the genital system. So digestive system, it's a selection to give courses. Pulmonary system, the heart and vessels, the brain. And of course, you can have, which is very important, you can also have slices, different slices according the sagittal plane. This is the frontal plane. You see the structures, and the sagittal plane. And here I would like to show you something very important. Of course, you can imagine if you choose a structure and you click it with your finger, it will be announced, and you have in the blue window on the right, you have the name in 4 languages, in English, in Latin, and in Spanish. So you can study anatomy and learn anatomy. You need the name of the structures because it's very complicated. You can see also that you have the slices in axial plane, and you can choose a slice, and you can go up and move this slice up, you see, and see all the structures with the models. You can see the slices. Another point is regarding all the buttons, the colored button on the right. You can choose to display the bone or to make it transparent. You can choose to display the arteries. You can wipe the arteries and display the venous system. You see that it is very complicated, and the portal system is in purple. You can wipe the veins and display the nerves. So you can choose exactly what you want to give a lesson of anatomy of the students. So the professor uses this to prepare a course. And of course, on the right, you can see the menus giving you access to regions. That is the head and neck region, the pelvic region. And regarding this point, I would like to show you an important function, which is a slicing of the 3D model. So you activate a special function here. You put this on the right, and you can move the sagittal plane. You can see in 3-dimensional, so you can slice in any plane, but here it's interesting in sagittal plane because you can see very well the structures of the pelvic, which are hidden by the bone and different things. And last thing, you have a quiz, which is a 3D quiz. When your lesson is finished, you have to make a quiz to see if the students have understood. So you have labels, and the students have to answer what is the label number 1, and you can give the answers by clicking on the structure. You can see here vena cava, superior vena cava, and right coronary artery. So you have immediately the answers of the quiz that you give to the students. You can give the answers immediately. You have different region, pelvic region we saw before, with slicing in the sagittal plane to see very well all the structures of the pelvic area. You see the end with the nerves, the foot. You can see also popliteal fossa. You have the scarpa triangle and the arm, so the crease. So finished. So I try to move now. So what is the characteristics of the second version? Now we saw now the first version. You have another version which is a little bit different. I will show you more. First is the programmation, the interface is Unity. It's very different, a very powerful Unity. One of the characteristics important is it's working with tablets and smartphones, which is very interesting for the individual use for students. And also it's including augmented reality, and you can make a dissection plane by plane. I will show you more in a minute. And this is a very nice solution to integrate a big screen and tablets for the students. So this is a demonstration. You have music. So you can see how you can dissect, you can make a dissection and remove the model. You can enter the body. You have the names, of course, same. It's the same model, but a little bit more realistic than the version 1. You also have selection by systems, vascular system or bones, thorax, vascular, bone, muscles, digestive system. You can remove plan by plan. You see the segmentation of the liver, which is an example, but you have others. You see the anatomy of the cranium, of the skull. And you see also very interesting, you have the slices, the real slices in all the planes, not only in axial plane, but you have also the slices in all planes. Smartphone version working. And finally, region selection and augmented reality, which is this spot. So the model is in the air in your room. It could be handled beside you, very close to you, and this is a very special technique, but it is very very nice. So this will be ready on App Store in October 2020. So now just a little more comments about this. Why did we create this? Because you know probably that you have a lot of solutions in anatomy regarding vertebral dissection on the web, on the smartphone programs. Why? Because this is a very complete solution which was created by experts in anatomy, not computer graphics. It's incorporated sections with the models, very precise models. It's including 3D quiz. And the real reason is if you compare with similar products, which are anatomage of Asclepius, which are very nice device, they are very expensive. So this solution is very, very cheap if you compare. And in addition, it's more easy to use because you can use it very easily with your fingers and with buttons. So finally, what is the practical use of this? In summary, to prepare a course for the professor of anatomy with the version 1 and to give a quiz, to make a tutorial of anatomy. For the version 2, it's more than a training, individual training of the students with their tablets. It's also to make workshops and to make practical works, and also to compare anatomy to the anatomical slices of CT scan. So I have finished. Thank you very much for your attention. Do not hesitate if you have any question regarding all this, but anyway, you can have some answers on the website of UNESCO Share, which you see on the screen, written in red, and also in the other website, which is the website of the software Diva 3D virtual table. Thank you very much again for your attention.
I thank you very much, Dr. Gil. First of all, we are honored to have you here with us and have you with this presentation, and that you have the time to share with us all these new technologies and all these new ideas and new apps we can use to learn anatomy, because it's one of the hardest things we have to learn in medical school. So thank you very much for that. There's a few questions that we have. The question is that what's the therapeutic application for these types of apps we have now in anatomy? Like, how can we see them as a therapeutic image? Like clinical therapeutic image.
I don't understand again, but you asked,
okay,
what is,
I'll
what
write
is
it down
the use
if you
of
want.
this? Yes. What is the use regarding clinical application?
Yeah.
You want to know?
Yeah, clinical application. That's right. For clinical application and the therapeutic application for it. How can we take this anatomy, basic anatomy, gross anatomy to a clinical application?
Oh, yes. So that is not included in that kind of software. I think this kind of software is for beginners, for young students, beginning first year and second year, teaching for the teaching of anatomy of the young, and the professor preparing a course. It's to have more in your mind the corresponding anatomy comparing to the slices, because in clinical practice, you will have more often CT scans to the patient is coming with a CT scan, and you have to interpret and to understand what is the pathology of the CT scan. So if you know the corresponding structures on a special slice, you will be able to recognize immediately what is the problem, the pathology on the CT scan slices. So this is, I think, but for the more advanced students, I suggest another kind of software, which is to have a clinical case with a patient with he has a pain on the abdomen pain and something and so on, and you give also the 3D model and the CT scan, and the students have to localize to make the corresponding thing with the 3D model and to analyze the result in the slice. But it is a clinical case, a real case, and for this software. Sorry, oui, yes, Pablo, thank you. And so this is basic anatomy. You need to handle this first before you see patients, and they are coming with clinical real cases. For clinical real cases, before that, you need to know anatomy a little bit, which is the purpose of this software. To learn basics, to learn basic anatomy, so all the basics you have to know, and then you go and to create clinical cases. For more advanced students, I suggest to create another kind of software with clinical cases, practical cases, and analyze of the anatomy on the 3D model of these cases. I have some of these kind of, but it's completely different, more complicated, and you cannot begin with this. You have to begin with basic anatomy and basic things. Okay?
Okay, I'm going to translate the answer to the question. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to translate it for the recording so it could stay on record in Spanish, okay?
Yes.
Okay. La pregunta que hicimos era que cuál era la aplicación terapéutica de los modelos presentados. Y para la respuesta del doctor Yule, él comenta que una aplicación terapéutica como tal no está diseñado este software. Lo principal está diseñado para el aprendizaje introductorio a la anatomía, es decir, para los estudiantes de primer año que apenas están iniciando esta aventura en la anatomía, para que puedan tener una visualización más práctica de qué es lo que están estudiando. Que para tener una aplicación terapéutica, una aplicación clínica como tal, se utiliza más que nada lo que viene siendo la correlación de estas aplicaciones que utilizan realidad aumentada a una comparación con lo que viene siendo las imágenes de tomografía computarizada, radiografía, etcétera, imagenología como tal, donde es que le ayuda al estudiante de medicina que estuvo estudiando con estas aplicaciones que para que pudiesen ellos más adelante en su formación clínica reconocer lo que están viendo en este tipo de imagenología. Principalmente, él comenta mucho las tomografías como tal, ¿no? Entonces, esa es la principal correlación que utilizan estas aplicaciones, que él lo recomienda cuando se necesite ya lo que viene siendo una correlación terapéutica, una correlación clínica, se utilice con casos clínicos y con imagenología en mano para utilizar estas aplicaciones y que se reconozca qué es lo que el estudiante está viendo. Okay, so we have another question.
Yeah.
The second question is, what would you say on no, I'm sorry, that's going to be the last one. The next question is, what's the cost and benefit of putting these models, these 3D models, virtual imaging models, into the universities here in Mexico or worldwide for them to use as a new way, as a new tool to study anatomy?
Yes. Yes, it's important to have that kind of new tools because we have all a lack of cadavers, and the real dissection of cadavers could not be achieved by all students. So we need to do something very similar, and the best way is to have a virtual dissection table, a digital simulation with vectorial models, very realistic ones. They will be more and more realistic with the years, but we have good tools, and this is to prepare dissection, because everybody cannot make dissection, the lack of dissection, and this is the tool to replace the lack of dissection and to have a good idea of the anatomical topography, anatomy of the body before doing clinical cases.
Okay. La pregunta que nosotros hicimos fue que cuál era el costo-beneficio de implementar estos modelos digitales en las universidades. Y comenta el doctor Hugh que es muy importante poder implementar estas nuevas tecnologías porque no todos tienen la posibilidad de disecar en cadáveres, que cada vez más hay escasez de cadáveres. Entonces, no todos los estudiantes tienen ese acercamiento con los cadáveres. Y es muy importante que el estudiante de medicina reconozca qué es lo que está estudiando. Entonces, tener este tipo de aplicaciones de realidad aumentada nos ayuda a que el estudiante, aunque no tenga una relación directa con los cadáveres, pueda visualizar lo que está estudiando y pueda entender la anatomía que tanto está estudiando. And we have another question, 2 more questions.
Yeah.
The third question is, what's your experience with these new applications and the students that are learning anatomy in your research?
In research? That's completely different. It's a completely different world. It's not regarding the same with the software. Of course, you can understand that educational is very important. So we quit educational. Of course, these new digital tools are providing very interesting information regarding quantification of anatomy of the body. And this is opening the way of new research tools, because we can quantify and we can appreciate differently, quantify anatomy, and make a lot of big data analysis about anatomy, the model, the variation. So this is to study the anatomical variations and different things that we cannot study without these techniques.
Okay. La pregunta que nosotros hicimos fue ¿cuál fue tu experiencia con estas nuevas herramientas anatómicas en su investigación? Y él comenta que es muy diferente la cuestión educativa como investigación, pero que gracias a estas nuevas herramientas la anatomía puede ser cuantificada, es decir, una anatomía en cuestión de cuantificación. Y que se puede utilizar estas herramientas, se cuantifica qué tan bien el beneficio que le está dando a los estudiantes para producir nuevas herramientas a partir de ello. Entonces, es una constante evolución de las herramientas que se utilizan hoy en día para aprender anatomía. So, thank you very much again, Dr. Yuhu. Would you like to add something?
No, nothing. No, if we will probably with Dr. Pablo Reyes, we send you more information. If somebody they are interested in this, probably they will have more information on how to get the software, and I think we can discuss with the university to provide them the system, because a lot of students could be interested by that. The same software with the professor and then on the tablets with the students. Because now, due to COVID, mainly due to our state now, it's much better to work at home and to work with the internet than to have presential courses. So we have to arrange our educational tools for this, because it's very practical to be at home and to work. Instead of going to university. So now this kind of software are more dedicated to that kind of situation, let's say.
Okay. Comenta el doctor que si hay alguien interesado más en estas nuevas tecnologías, en estas nuevas herramientas, que se pueden poner en contacto con él. Ellos van a trabajar junto con el doctor Pablo Reyes para poder proporcionar a las universidades esta información para que los puedan adquirir, que efectivamente durante esta pandemia es muchísimo más fácil trabajar en casa, estudiar desde casa, que es una medida que se está tomando, y esta es una herramienta muy útil para poder hacerlo. Okay, Dr. Jean-Francois Yu, we thank you for part of the Mexican Society of Anatomy. Thank you so much again for all your patience and for giving us this amazing talk about the new tools we have now for anatomy and to understand the anatomy that's so hard and that gives us really big headaches in medical school.
Sure.
So thank you so much. This is one of the tools that does help us, one of the tools that helps us visualize more and to understand more. And then when we go to clinical practice, it just makes life so much easier. So thank you so much. We will send you the participant constants by email. We will get to that. And thank you so much. If there's any more questions, any more doubts, then we will send them to you too. And again, thank you so much. And always, please keep on helping us medical students so we can make ourselves better each day. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye and thanks.
All right. Have a nice day. Goodbye, doctor.
Thank you.